I, of course, am Daniel or Darth Marino, and I'm a builder of things. And I'm going to talk to you about static sites. And side note, I love Eleventy, and that will make a little more sense in a little bit. So a static site is basically a web page that does not need to request data through a database or run functions on the server in order to return a web page. An example is this presentation. It's all hand-coded. It doesn't need to make any requests to database to return data, etc. And as opposed to a dynamic website, which does return a different page depending on the data. And an example would be the Harvest app. It would be really, really, really hard to make that a static site. With all the billions of timers alone, you would have a lot of pages. But you know, anytime you go to a project page, it goes to the database and returns information about that project, and voila, it creates a page based on that. So why have a static site? They're fast. They're really, load times are really speedy. They're cheap because you don't need to maintain a database. You don't have to have the overhead of a server to process all the data. And in the same vein, they're simple just because you're not maintaining all the data. So the hippest cat in town right now are static site generators, and they've been around for a little while, but they're kind of getting popular-ish, again-ish. And a static site generator, as it says on the screen here, it allowed you to build a server-based website locally on your computer before you deploy it to the server. And that is kind of ambiguous to follow along with, so we'll give you an example. You've all probably used the Harvest Help Center, and that is a static site built with a static site generator. It's built using Jekyll, which is Ruby powered, and we host it on GitHub pages. So when you make a change and you merge the pull request, it goes up to GitHub pages and it gets built automatically. The data and the content is stored as front matter and markdown files. If you look at the screenshot on this page, you'll see layout, title, category, permissions. That's the front matter. And the entire file is the markdown file. So on the Help Center, all of our content is stored in these markdown files. And we use the front matter to categorize and title and set the URL. And then we have a series of layouts and templates within the Help Center that takes the markdown files and builds out all the static pages. Still kind of a mouthful, so I hope you're following along. So the newest, well, not the newest, but one of the cooler static site generators that I've really enjoyed playing around with lately is Eleventy. It's a JavaScript alternative to Jekyll, which means it is super duper fast. It runs using Node. It works with multiple template languages. I name a bunch here. Whereas Jekyll, you really only get HTML/liquid, which is the language syntax for pulling in variables. But another cool thing with Eleventy is that it works great with data. You can use it like a traditional static site generator where you have front matter and markdown content, or you can pull in data from external files, JSON payloads, etc. So I wanted to give you a quick demo of what this looks like. So I have here, as some of you know, I'm a fan of states and their state mottos. I have a view here that lists all 50 states. And if I click on any one of these, it will take me to a page that just simply lists the name of the state and the state motto. And if you look at the URL is a new, it's unique for each state. Now, I did not create 50 different markdown files to create each of these pages. That would be a nightmare. What I have is a JSON file with all the states and their state mottos. It's kind of like a flat database, but for the sake of argument, it's not. I have one page or a template that creates the list that you see here. And this is its most basic form. It's literally just going through all the states and listing them out. And then I have one file that loops through that JSON file and creates a new page for each state. So it really is, you really don't need that much to get a full-blown site. Again, this is a really simplified version of what you can do with a static site generator. So I wanted to show you something much more complex than the Harvest Help Center or this states demo. I've been working on a static site generated e-commerce website for my state motto print shop. I wanted to see if it could be done, and it is like 97% done. Every page here is generated with data like that JSON file I showed you. There are no markdown files at all. And it's all dynamic. It will process orders. I'm using an external service to handle the cart. It was, like I said, it's kind of a proof of concept, but it was really just to see if a fully fledged e-commerce website could be powered by static site generator with dynamic content. And it can. So that's it. I went through that kind of fast, so I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
That was awesome. Does anybody have any questions?
I do.
Go ahead.
What's the URL of your store? It's localhost over there.
Right now, it's just a placeholder. It's statemottoprints.com. If you want to click around this state motto prints, it's at stagingpages.statemottoprints.com. But please don't place any orders on the staging site.